Mike Bohn joined today by Josh Emmett, who is a little less than a month removed from a big comeback win over Dan Ige. Just tell me, Josh, that was such a long time waiting to get back in that fight and everything. Are you still kind of on cloud nine, or have you moved past the win and everything?
Yeah, what's up, Mike? I never on cloud nine. I'm always, but I'm super stoked to get back in there after an 18-month layoff and, fight a tough Dan Ige and get the win and kind of come away unscathed. I feel great and I'm ready to get back in the mix.
Yeah, just to kind of get that win and get over that hump a little bit of all the time off and everything. Like, just how relieving was that? And especially to come out of the fight with no serious injuries. Like, was that kind of a best case scenario with how everything played out?
Yeah, 100%. It's, that's always in the back of my mind. I want to go in there and come out just kind of exactly how things went, like no injuries. My opponent and I both, get to go home to our families safe and no better way to obviously get the win as well. So it was perfect case scenario. And, I want to just keep this momentum going. I want to, I want to fight for the title. So it's just, I need to get back to training and then just keep working my way to the top.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll get into all that stuff in a second. But just one last thing about, the time off and everything like that. I mean, was it frustrating, I guess, just being asked about it like incessantly? I know that you had some really emotional quotes at the media day prior to the fight and everything. So like to kind of get that moment, what did that do for you, mentally, just to kind of relieve everything that was probably pent up and all the frustration and all the waiting and all those things?
Yeah, it was definitely it was a tough year and it was such a big sense of relief. Just getting the win and getting that weight lifted off my shoulders. And like you said, it's I kind of just hold on to a lot of things, and a lot of things are, outside factors going on, and I just kind of I use that as motivation. And man, it's what keeps me going and keeps me staying focused and staying just driven, on the task at hand. And it's just crazy because once I got my hand raised, and the biggest sense of relief is lifted off my shoulders, and then I sit back and kind of think about things. And my wife is always saying, like, just put your phone down. Let's just like take some some time to enjoy this moment. And then I do that for like a day or so, and then I'm focus on who's next, what's next. Like I want to just do it again. And then it kind of starts all over. So it's a weird, crazy process, but man, I love it.
Yeah, and you obviously dropped him in that first round too. And I think every single featherweight fight you've had so far, you've knocked your opponent down. I think you're already tied for the knockdowns record in just like a handful of fights in that division. Were you surprised that? I mean, I know Dan is insanely tough, but usually when you drop those guys, you're able to put them away. So what happens like mentally when you're going through that moment? You put him down the first, and you don't want to go crazy and gas yourself out, but you have him in a dicey spot there too.
Yeah, no, I was super surprised. How fast Dan recovered from that. Because like you said, it's like usually when I hit someone like that, and it was a clean punch, and I can feel it, through the glove. It's like a baseball. When you hit a baseball, and it's like out of the park, but you're not trying to hit it out of the park, and I'm not trying to knock him out. It was just like a clean punch, and he recovered so fast, and I was super surprised by that. And that's why Dan is such a durable guy. But yeah, I've knocked down every single person I fought in the featherweight division at least once. And, in the back of my mind, of course, I would have liked to get the finish and put him away, be the first guy to put Dan Ige away. But also, I'm happy that I went the 15 minutes, and it was just like kind of a more of a technical fight against a tough guy, because I know my knee is good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if I would have put him away in 30 seconds into the first round, maybe that would be in the back of my head.
Right.
But it all worked out perfect, and it always does.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a perfect perspective on it. So you come off this big win. It's been a nice run of victories. I know it's hasn't been the consistency of fighting you would like, but you're still getting the results. and we were going to talk today. And I was going to ask where you fit in at featherweight. We have like Giga Chikadze fighting in the main event against Calvin Kattar next week, and then they just announced the title fight between Volkanovski and Max Holloway. But just minutes before we got started here, we find out Max Holloway is injured, actually out of that fight versus Alexander Volkanovski on March 6th, I believe. So I guess where do you think you fit? I know you just said a few minutes ago you want a title shot. So is there a possibility you could be the replacement for Max?
Yeah, sign me up, man. I didn't even know that until you told me if I heard the news, and I was like, nope. So you just you literally just told it to me, and this is exactly what I've been talking about. You know, I feel like I'm one of the only fighters in the division that have not got to fight the top guys. I think Volkanovski and I match up stylistically the best. I think the fight's on March 5th because I've been keeping a close eye on that just because it's a day after my birthday. And yeah, sign me up. Like I'll be ready to rock. I think the fans would love that. I've always wanted to stay ready just in case, you know, something like this happened. You know, someone falls out of a fight. I say in the UFC, it's all about timing. You have to be ready. You have to be able to take opportunities, and I'll never shy away from an opportunity, especially like this. Like I want that Volkanovski fight.
Yeah, and I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you just go through the rankings here. Max Holloway won. Obviously, he's out of the fight. Brian Ortega just came off a loss. Yair Rodriguez just came off a loss. Korean Zombie injured, I believe. And Calvin Kattar, I don't know if, even if he beats Giga, I don't know if that one win would necessarily, gain a ton of interest in that title fight. So it seems like you kind of make perfect sense there. What do you just think of how you match up with Volkanovski if you could get that fight?
Yeah, I think we match up great. You know, similar styles, both, you know, powerful, explosive fighters, come from wrestling backgrounds. We both have the power, you know, to end the fight at any moment. Yeah, he's the best. You know what I mean? That anyone who has the title is the best in the division in my eyes. And this is just a fight that, you know, I want to fight the best, and he is the best. And I think the fans would be pumped to see him and I fight. And it would be a great show and just a spectacular performance from the two of us.
Yeah, I think the matchup is so interesting. Like, obviously, I don't really think he's fought a guy like you who brings that wrestling to the table and then obviously the power as well. So it seems like you kind of have a combination of skills that he hasn't really encountered yet. What have you just thought about his title reign? I mean, obviously, a lot of people had thoughts about the two Max fights, which is why we were getting a third one when one guy had already won the two. But I think he showed kind of a different side in the Ortega fight. I think gained a lot of respect from a lot of people. Did you see kind of something in that Ortega fight that maybe you didn't know was there beforehand?
Yeah, just even how, you know, because we know Ortega is like one of the best guys in the division for jiu-jitsu. And some of the, you know, some of the submissions that he got out of that were so tight. And I think anyone would have tapped from, or, you know, Ortega would have submitted him. And Volkanovski, he has no quit in him. It just, you know, kind of solidified how good of a champion he is. The guy will not stop, and he got out of so much, and there are so many scrambles. So it just shows how good his ground game is as well. But like you said, time and time again, as he was coming up, you know, he always had a tough matchup, and maybe it was like the fight where I was like, oh, this is going to be a tough fight for him. But then he just kind of made it look easy. And you know what I mean? He's he's the champion for a reason. You know, he's there for a reason, and he's a phenomenal champion and a great fighter. I think he's undefeated in the UFC still, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's like, how can you deny that? How can you argue that, you know, he's not the GOAT? He beat Max twice, even though, you know, I know there's a lot of controversy in the second fight, but he still got his hand raised. He beat Jose Aldo, who's arguably one of the, you know, the top featherweight fighters of all time. And then he continues just to improve and show the world how good he is. But I've always said, you know, he's going to be a champion for a long time until we fight.
For sure. And I know this is really fresh, but what would be your message to Alexander, you know, if he sees this, of why, you know, he think that would be a logical fight for him? I know literally we just found this out minutes ago, so we don't know the UFC's plans. You still need to talk to your management and all these different things. But if you could pass a message to Alex of being like, this is why you should, you know, stay on that card and fight, what would that be?
I think, you know, he's been planning to fight for a while. He's the champion. He's never like ventured away from taking a fight. He's always down to fight everyone. He's the best in the world. And I think this is a fight that excites the fans, because they want to see a war. And I think him and I both bring that to the table. And we're so similar in styles. And it would just be a phenomenal fight that would go down in the books.
Awesome, man. Well, I genuinely hope you can get that. I think that would be a really awesome matchup. And before I let you go, I'm curious. I know, what's the vibe at Team Alpha Male right now? Like, I know Chad Mendez is coming back to do some BFC. They just announced that. You guys got a lot of great things going on with some other fighters. Like, how do you feel about kind of the state of the gym right now going into 2022?
Yeah, I think 2022 is going to be another great year for us. Chad's making his bare knuckle debut February 19th, and that's going to be wild. I'm excited for him. He's been in the gym a ton. Just putting in so much work, and it's insane to see that he made the transition to that. And it's like, whoever he's fighting, I feel bad for that guy, because Chad's firing on all cylinders. He's the guy hits so damn hard, and he's so fast. And then everyone else, we have Slava coming up. He's fighting January 15th. We have so many guys like on the horizon that have big fights coming up. And we're just looking to continue our, just the momentum, and just like everything at the gym is going really well. And it's just good atmosphere, good energy. And we're gonna keep 2022 rolling, and just have a phenomenal year.
Yeah, and I had seen a couple days ago Chris Holdsworth post that he was kind of opening up his academy and that he's parting ways a little bit, but still working with some guys there. Are you going to be one of the people who's still working there with him, or how's kind of that working now that it seems like he's starting to do his own thing a little bit more?
Yeah, no, for sure. Chris is, this has been like he's wanted to open his gym for a while. This has always been kind of the focus, especially since he, quit fighting quite some time again. So now he just has the opportunity. He's actually opening his gym not too far from my house. It's literally a few miles away. So I'm excited for that. Even though, Team Alpha Male headquarters is not too far from me either. But yeah, he's going to be working with a lot of the fighters. I know he's just going to be focusing on getting his gym up and running, and, getting the membership, just getting everything kind of set in place, what he needs to do for owning his own business. But he left on great terms, and him and Uriah, Uriah gave him his blessing, and I'm sure Uriah will be helping out in certain ways, and he'll be coming back to the gym, working with some of the fighters, and maybe hopefully running a class or two. But I know he needs to focus on his business right now. But yeah, we'll definitely be working the same amount.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And I guess just to send you out here before I let you go, I know we'd come into this, I was going to ask you all these questions about, does this fight make sense? Does that fight make sense? Would you say, right now, given what's happening, that title fight is your sole focus? Like, that's what you're going to put all your energy towards trying to secure and seeing if you can be that replacement?
Yeah, 100%, man. I had no idea, like, honestly, until you just said that. So, I was trying to think who's next, who do I want next? Really, anyone that's going to get me to that title fight. I was just talking to my manager yesterday, and I was like, what is like, what do we have to do to get to this title fight? Like, I'll fight anybody as long as it's a title eliminator. And then you just said that. So Holloway's out. So I'm in my mind's racing right now. But as soon as we get off this, I'm going to, text my manager, and I want that fight, man. I'll take it. This is what I've been working, I've been working so hard to get. And yeah, man, I'm not excited because nothing's set in stone, but just the way I'm thinking, and I'm an optimistic person. Things happen for a reason, and let's do it.
Yeah, and like I said, I can't see too many other scenarios that make sense given the division thing. I literally just saw Henry Cejudo try to pitch for that fight on Twitter too, but he's obviously retired, and I know he's kind of at odds with the UFC about his contract status, so I don't know how much interest there would be on that end. If they're going to put someone who's actually in the division, actually fighting, and actually coming off a win over a guy there, I think you're the clear candidate in my mind.
Cool, thanks, Mike.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it, and we'll catch up soon, and best of luck getting this fight to happen.
All right, thanks again. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon.